Okay, so I have been doing something dangerous. I have been going down a Stoicism rabbit hole on the internet.
Oh no, how deep did you go?
Deep like 3 a.m. deep. And honestly, I am more confused than when I started, because I keep seeing quotes from different Stoics, and they seem to contradict each other. One says embrace wealth, another says reject it, one says accept your fate, another says fight for change. Are these people even agreeing with each other?
That is a really good observation, and the answer is yes, they are agreeing. But you are reading conclusions without context. You are seeing the answers without knowing the lives behind them.
So help me. Who are these people? Because I keep seeing 3 names everywhere: Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus.
Those are the 3 great Stoics, and their stories are extraordinary because Stoicism was not tested in a classroom. It was tested at every extreme of human experience: an emperor, a playwright and millionaire, and a slave. Let me tell you their stories, and the contradictions will disappear.
Okay. Start with Marcus Aurelius because everyone seems to talk about him the most.
Marcus Aurelius, born in 121 AD. He became emperor of Rome in 161 AD. The most powerful man in the known world. He commanded legions. He ruled an empire that stretched from Britain to Syria. Every person in the Roman world answered to him.
Okay. So ultimate power.
Ultimate power, and here is what makes him remarkable. During the worst years of his reign, years of plague that killed millions, wars on every frontier, generals betraying him, his own body failing, Marcus Aurelius sat alone in his tent on the northern frontier and wrote a journal by candlelight, not battle plans, not imperial decrees, a journal to himself.
A journal. The Emperor of Rome kept a diary.
A diary that was never meant to be published. He wrote it for himself. Reminders, pep talks, corrections, things like, do not be angry at the stupid, they cannot help it. Things like, you could leave life right now, let that determine what you do and say and think. This was a man talking himself through the hardest job in the world.
Oh my God, that is so human. The most powerful man in the world writing himself pep talks.
And that book, that private journal, is what we now call Meditations. It is one of the most influential books in human history, and it was never supposed to exist. Marcus wrote it to survive, not to teach, not to publish, to survive.
That is why it feels so honest, because he was not performing for an audience. He was just trying to get through the day.
Exactly. And the plague. I want you to understand the scale. The Antonine Plague killed an estimated 5 million people across the Roman Empire. Marcus watched his soldiers die. He watched his citizens die. He had to make impossible decisions every single day. And through all of it, he kept writing. He kept reminding himself to be patient, to be kind, to focus on what he could control.
And his son, I read something about his son.
Commodus, Marcus's son and successor, who undid almost everything Marcus built. Marcus spent his entire life trying to be a good emperor, and his own son became one of the worst. That is a kind of suffering that no amount of power can fix.
Wow, so even the most powerful man in the world could not control his own son.
He could not, and that is Stoicism in its purest form. You control your effort, your character, your values. You do not control outcomes, not even if you are the emperor of Rome.
Okay. That is Marcus. Now tell me about Seneca, because honestly, he is the one I have the most questions about.
Seneca, the complicated one.
Yeah, because from what I read, he was super rich, like one of the richest men in Rome, and he preached simplicity. Is that not incredibly hypocritical?
It is the question everyone asks, and it is a fair question. Seneca was born around 4 BC. He became one of the most powerful men in Rome, advisor to Emperor Nero, a brilliant playwright, a philosopher, and yes, enormously wealthy. He lived in luxury while writing about the virtues of simplicity.
So he was a hypocrite.
Here is what I love about Seneca. He wrestled with this himself. He wrote about it openly. He did not pretend to be perfect. He said, I know I fall short. I know there is a gap between what I teach and how I live, but I am trying, and that honesty, that willingness to be imperfect in public, is what makes him the most useful Stoic for most people.
So he is not the perfect Stoic. He is the human Stoic.
The most human of the three, and his writings reflect that his letters to Lucilius are the most practical Stoic texts we have. They read like advice from a wise friend who has made every mistake and is trying to help you avoid them. He writes about grief, anger, time management, friendship, death, all with this raw honesty that you do not get from someone who thinks they have it all figured out.
Okay, I'm starting to like him more. But how did his story end?
Badly and beautifully. Nero, the Emperor Seneca had advised for years, turned on him. Nero accused Seneca of being part of a conspiracy, and he ordered Seneca to kill himself.
Oh my God.
And Seneca did it with calm dignity. He gathered his friends. He spoke to them about the meaning of life. He opened his veins. The ancient sources say he died slowly and peacefully, talking about philosophy until the very end. He lived his philosophy in the moment it mattered most.
That is incredible and heartbreaking. He practiced what he preached when it literally cost him everything.
He did, and that is why the hypocrisy charge, while understandable, misses the point. Seneca was not perfect, but when the ultimate test came, he passed it.
Okay, now Epictetus, the slave, that is the one that really gets me.
Epictetus, born around 50 AD, born a slave. His master was Epaphroditus, a wealthy freedman who served in Nero's court, and at some point during his enslavement, Epictetus's leg was broken. Some sources say his master broke it deliberately. Others say it was broken through neglect. Either way, he walked with a limp for the rest of his life.
That is horrifying.
It is, and here is what Epictetus did with that experience after he gained his freedom. He started a school in Nicopolis, a simple stone room, wooden benches, one oil lamp, and he taught. He taught that the only thing you truly own is your mind. Your body can be enslaved, your possessions can be taken, your reputation can be destroyed, but your thoughts, your judgments, your character, those belong to you and only you.
Wait, a man who was literally enslaved taught that freedom is internal. That is not just philosophy, that is lived experience.
That is exactly right. When Epictetus said some things are within our power and some are not, he was not speaking theoretically. He had lived it. He knew what it meant to have everything external taken away, and he discovered that the one thing no one could take was his ability to choose his response.
And he had nothing right? Like, materially?
Almost nothing. He lived simply. He owned very little, and he needed nothing. His students included future senators and statesmen. His teachings were recorded by his student Arrian, who wrote them down as the Discourses and the Enchiridion. And here is the part that connects everything.
What?
Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, studied Epictetus's teachings through Arrian's notes. The most powerful man in the world learned philosophy from the writings of a former slave.
Oh wow, the emperor learned from the slave's teacher. That is actually beautiful.
It is, and it tells you something profound about Stoicism. This philosophy does not care about your status. It does not care about your wealth. It does not care about your circumstances. It works whether you are at the top or the bottom, whether you rule the world or own nothing.
Okay, so now I understand the contradictions I was seeing online. When Marcus writes about leadership and duty, he is applying Stoicism to being an emperor. When Seneca writes about wealth and simplicity, he is applying it to being rich and conflicted. When Epictetus writes about freedom and control, he is applying it to having nothing.
That is exactly it. The principle is the same. Focus on what you control, accept what you cannot, live with virtue. How that looks for an emperor, a millionaire, and a freed slave, of course it looks different on the surface, but underneath, it is the same philosophy.
Same principles, different lives. That actually makes Stoicism more credible, not less, because it was tested everywhere.
At every extreme, power, wealth, bondage, and it held, that is a philosophy you can trust.
Okay, so here is what I want to try. You said something about choosing your Stoic-like. Which one resonates most with you?
Yes, the choose your Stoic practice. Based on what you heard today, ask yourself which of the three resonates most with you right now. Marcus, the leader carrying heavy responsibility and trying to stay good. Seneca, the person navigating wealth, status, and contradiction while trying to live simply. Or Epictetus, the person who has been dealt a bad hand and refuses to be defined by it.
And then what?
Pick one, look up one, quote from that philosopher, just one, write it on a sticky note and put it where you will see it tomorrow morning. Sit with it for a day. Let it work on you.
One, quote, one sticky note, I can do that?
Which one are you leaning toward?
Honestly? Epictetus. The idea that someone who had everything taken from him could still find freedom in his own mind, that hits different.
Good choice, he would be honored.
Okay, let me pull together what we learned today. Number 1. Stoicism was tested at every level of human experience: absolute power, extreme wealth, and total bondage. And it worked for all three. It is not a philosophy for the privileged. It is a philosophy for humans. Number 2. Marcus Aurelius wrote Meditations as a private journal to survive plague, war, and betrayal. It was never meant to be published, which is why it is so honest and so powerful. Number 3. Seneca was imperfect and knew it. He is the most relatable Stoic because he shows you can practice philosophy imperfectly and still transform your life. Number 4. Epictetus went from slave to one of the most influential philosophers in history, proving that your circumstances do not determine your character. And number 5. The apparent contradictions between the three Stoics disappear when you understand their context. The principles are the same, applied to radically different lives.
That was beautiful. 3 lives, 1 philosophy, you got it.
If these stories moved you, follow Stoicism mentality wherever you are listening. New episodes every week.